Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 16 starts off with another flashback of Boruto and Kashin Koji basically describing how he uses his Flying Raijin Jutsu in a way that's different than maybe the 4th Hokage. So essentially it's just a big breakdown of how he uses the Flying Raijin for him and his particular uses. Why he teleports to certain symbols and how he visualizes the jutsu. It's completely different than, or as not as seamless as Minato Namikaze probably does it, because he does it so instantaneously that it's like second nature to him. But for Boruto, it's a little bit more difficult. He has to figure out a way to make it easier for him to get the flow of it. So they have a little one-on-one talk, and this is also a flashback into his training, what he's been doing for the past 3 years. So it gives us a basic look at what's going on. And it also tells us how the two of them, well, basically 3 of them and more to be included, are basically these singularities of fate. People who are trying to change destiny. And they are... Kashin Koji tells that to Boruto, but he also tells it to Ada, who he suspects or he knows is going to eventually... She's going to eventually watch all of this because of her Senrigan. So because of her abilities, she becomes a part of their little circle, their little plan, their little singularity of fate group. People who are able to subvert destiny. Somebody who can see into the past and present, and somebody who can see into alternate futures, come together and they work as a team. So Kashin Koji with his, obviously with his ability, and then you have Boruto with his high level jutsu and skills after training for so long, and obviously Ada with her Senrigan and her ability to her omnipotence, her charm ability. So it all comes together. Then we have Sarada and Sumire, kind of like a little, let's call it what it is. This is like some sort of love triangle thing. And I'm not saying I hate it, but it's definitely not the most it's not something that I'm like, ooh, yeah, I need this, you know what I mean? Obviously, romance is like, they try to throw it in here and there. I just feel like it falls a little flat for me. It's not as interesting as some of the other stuff that they're talking about or that they're doing. But I do understand it from like a character perspective for like Sarada and Sumire. Like, Boruto is a very important person to the story, and it's like, what's wrong with a little romance here and there? But they basically have a dispute about how to deal with Boruto and the Shinju and everything that's coming up all of a sudden. Sarada is the type of shinobi that's like, action is needed, and she'll take action whenever she can. You know what I mean? She will step in even if she isn't capable, even if she's not able to like with Kawaki and Boruto when he got his eye cut by Kawaki. It's like, yeah, she got in the way, but she couldn't just stand by and do nothing. And possibly that's what saved Boruto, you know what I mean? Her action, her choices. But on the other hand, Sumire is kind of like, well, Boruto has a plan, right? He's strong, he's capable, he can take care of us. And like, you jumping in probably messed some things up, future-wise, right? Like with Kashin Koji's ability, I don't know if it's like his 10 paths or you know what I mean? His Shinjutsu, it's like, maybe you taking action messed everything up, and now we kind of have no choice but to do certain things that go wrong, you know what I mean? So it's like, whether we follow Boruto's plan or we take action, it's like, maybe we should wait and see, So there are two sides of the argument. And then also, personal feelings involved for Boruto. Sumire says that she likes Boruto, which explains why she was able to resist omnipotence, because she was able to have that connection with Boruto as somebody who really likes him. So I thought that was a interesting conversation, but it wasn't like as interesting as learning about how he uses the Flying Raijin and what's coming up next, which is Shikamaru and Ada having a discussion about the Shinju and what's going on. Ada says that Bug's Shinju is kind of like affecting her ability to see with her Senrigan, so she doesn't want to see them in real time. And Shikamaru is asking her like, hey, can you help us figure out where they are or what they're doing, or like any kind of conversations that they've had. And then they get to Kashin Koji, which Shikamaru brilliantly deduces, he figures out, and he kind of just says that like, it's him, isn't it? And she's kind of like, and then a frog pops out, and he just goes like, very smart, Shikamaru. And they have a discussion about what to do moving forward, what to do with the Shinju and how to fight them. And essentially it's hit them, it's not hit them with all of their full force, it's hit them with the minimum force required to like break it open. So like, if I punch a wall, I can break it, right? But if I don't punch it as hard as I can, I just punch it until there's a hole in the wall. Does that make sense? It's like, if I punch with my full force, the whole wall will collapse. I don't want the wall to collapse. I just want a hole in the wall. You know what I mean? So they use the minimum force required to get the hole in the wall to take care of the Shinju and not alert Jura, who's like the Ten Tails Shinju, and keep him from just basically attacking everybody and killing everyone. They also talk about how Himawari has to stay in the village because Jura is less likely to attack the village. So if he's less likely to attack the village, he won't go after Himawari. If she leaves the village, he will go after her and kill her. And then Boruto will come in and Boruto will be killed by Jura. And it just becomes a whole spiral. And there's a moment between the Toad and Shikamaru where they talk about how, you know, Shikamaru kind of helped Boruto escape from the Leaf Village, from his interrogation. And he says that like, no matter what the logic was, no matter what you thought, no matter what your comrades or people who were like against Boruto were saying, you did what you felt was right. You did what you believed in your heart was right, and continue to follow your heart. And I felt like that was such a huge moment of like, that was a moment of like Shikamaru following like Naruto, or doing the opposite of what kind of like shinobi would do. You know, they follow logic, they follow reason, they take the precautionary steps, you know what I mean? And there have been a lot of comparisons about Shikamaru and Danzo, and for the life of me, there is no comparison between the two. They're two completely different people. But before, Shikamaru only had to follow the logic or the facts, or kind of be the mean side of things, right? The reality side of things. And then Naruto was there to kind of be the emotional weight, the strong, the balance between the two, you know what I mean? That's what made them a good team. But now he's able to, this just shows that he's able to follow his heart and his emotions and go against the smart thing and do what feels right, and to continue that. And then finally, the chapter ends with a small team of, I think it's Konohamaru, Mitsuki, Sarada, and then 2 Sand Village Shinobis, which were the ones that were with Shinki and Gaara before. So they all kind of come together, and then they see 2 Shinju, which is, I think, Ryu and Matsuri or Mitsuri. It's the girl Shinju. And then they kind of just like, all right, time to get the mission started. This is it. And that's how the chapter ends. And so there was a lot of explaining in this one. It was a lot of understanding the flying Raijin jutsu. It was a lot of understanding people's feelings to one another. It was about coming up with the plan, and it was basically a lot of setup for the next chapter, setup for everybody's plans or how they move forward. And I just think that like the one thing I took away from this chapter was that like I need Boruto, Ada, and Kashin Koji in a room together to just figure things out. You know what I mean? But we'll see where it goes from here. But I thought this was a really great chapter. So thank you guys so much for watching. Yeah,